I'm not buying Squid Game Season 2's massive Gi-hun coincidence. Squid Game Season 2 repeats a major part of Seong Gi-hun's story from the first outing, and I'm not buying the Netflix series' big coincidence. Gi-hun's return to the Squid Game tournament is nearly as messy and chaotic as his first time around, despite the show's lead knowing what to expect from the competition. Many elements of Squid Game Season 2 mirror aspects of Season 1. From Episode 3's Player 001 twist to Hwang Jun-ho searching for the island the tournament is held on, these commonalities make sense within the context of Season 2's story, but there's one likeness to Season 1 that I don't find all that believable. While Gi-hun needs connections in the games to make them more emotional, alliances with Squid Game Season 2's new characters could have accomplished that. Bringing Yoongbei into the tournament undoubtedly raises the stakes for Gi-hun, and it makes Squid Game Season 2's ending more tragic. However, it also feels like a massive coincidence, repeating a Season 1 story that was already a bit unlikely. Squid Game Season 2 repeats its Sang-woo and Gi-hun story with Yoongbei. Gi-hun runs into another old friend during the tournament. Gi-hun running into Yoongbei at the Squid Game tournament repeats Season 1's storyline with Cho Sang-woo, another one of Gi-hun's old friends who reunited with him at the competition. Sang-woo's history with Gi-hun is a bit different from Yoongbei's, as Sang-woo and Squid Game's lead are childhood friends. By contrast, Yoongbei is more of a gambling buddy to Gi-hun, though the two still share a bond that continues throughout the tournament. Connecting with both characters gives Gi-hun someone to lean on in the games. It also gives him more to lose. And that last part is likely why Squid Game Season 2 brings someone from Gi-hun's personal life into the competition. Arguably, it isn't as necessary during the second outing, as the stakes are already high with Gi-hun trying to topple the tournament. But Yoongbei's presence gives the frontman leverage, something that becomes apparent during Squid Game Season 2's finale. It also puts even more pressure on Gi-hun to actually end the games, something he, sadly, fails to accomplish before Yoongbei's death. Gi-hun running into old friends at two separate Squid Games feels unlikely. The secret competition doesn't seem to be all that secret. Although Yoongbei's inclusion in Squid Game Season 2 makes sense from a storytelling perspective, I'm not sure that I buy the coincidental nature of his reunion with Gi-hun. Despite the Squid Game tournament being extremely secretive, Gi-hun runs into familiar faces both times that he plays the games. This feels unlikely even once, but having it happen twice borders on being unbelievable. In fact, the number of people who just happen to run into one another during the competition in Season 2 seems unusually high. Unless the organizers plan for it, Gi-hun just happening to meet old friends both times he joins the tournament feels like a massive coincidence. And I suppose it is possible that the organizers recruit in similar circles with the purpose of making the games more entertaining for the VIPs. It also helps that family members are likely to share the burden of debt, and friends who bond over gambling will face similar financial struggles. Even so, Gi-hun just happening to meet old friends both times he joins the tournament feels like a massive coincidence. It makes me think the organizers are pulling the strings to make that happen, or that the writers are leaning too heavily on coincidence to raise the show's stakes to Gi-hun and Yoongbei's ending copies Gi-hun and Sang-woo's, but with one major difference. Squid Game's lead will feel guilt over both deaths. Yoongbei, Player 390, in Squid Game Season 2. Yoongbei being at the tournament isn't the only way his story in Squid Game Season 2 mirrors that of Sang-woo. Both of their arcs also end in tragedy, leaving a massive impact on Gi-hun. Sang-woo's death at the end of Squid Game Season 1 is part of the reason Gi-hun is so bent on destroying the tournament in Season 2. He nearly sacrifices his humanity by fighting his own friend during Season 1's final game, and he's forced to watch as Sang-woo takes his own life instead. The guilt and grief push Gi-hun to seek vengeance against those behind the tournament. Yoongbei's death is likely to leave Gi-hun with even more guilt, which is exactly what the frontman wants. That's why the frontman lets Gi-hun live after his uprising at the end of Squid Game Season 2, to break him using the death of his dear friend. Gi-hun is likely to be far more reluctant to push back against the games in Squid Game Season 3, setting up an even more tragic path for his character. It's a big coincidence that Yoongbei plays the games at the same time as him, but the outcome has the desired effect.